Sound the alarm bells. Wee, because we have another Saturday Brandon's World Professional Wrestling Emergency Podcast after what happened on Friday Night SmackDown last night. We had two heel turns in my eye, and we had one babyface turn, and we had Dan Housen cursing a referee in the build to WrestleMania. In my opinion, is getting stronger and stronger and stronger. But what everybody wants to talk about, of course, is the promo segment between Randy Orton to kick off the show. Cody Rhodes come out, they brawl, and then bam, Pat McAfee attacks Cody Rhodes from behind. Pat McAfee turns heel. Pat McAfee cuts a promo on how business is down. Last week's episode of SmackDown was the worst rated cage side, whatever they call it, rating in history. Ticket sales are not as strong for WrestleMania this year as they were for last year. Now I get it that I didn't like that part of the promo. But everybody and their mother now wants to react. And everybody says, this is horrible. They ruined WrestleMania. How? Do you know how they ruined WrestleMania yet? Because I thought this was a great promo because it's true. Listen, we're having a generational gap right now in sports that's unprecedented. Everybody in the NFL says, oh, back in my day, they were allowed to hit when guys came over the middle. Or back in my day, they didn't run this shotgun PS and go forward on fourth down. Everything was under center. In the NBA, back in my day, they didn't shoot 80 threes. Back in my day, the scores were 80 to 78. And guess what? We played good defense. And in wrestling, it's back in my day, we didn't need to do 30-foot falls through ladders every 5 minutes or kick out of every finisher. We sold with promos. We sold with storytelling. And WWE has arguably never been hotter than during that Stone Cold Steve Austin Rock Attitude Era time. And I think that this could be the kickstart of an Attitude Era 2.0, maybe, with Pat McAfee and Randy Orton and maybe some of the older guards join during that time to go up against some of this newer generational talent. Guys like, Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams and Obafemi, because we are seeing, and I've talked about this really in WWE. This year was going to be a transition year, right? You've got the likes of Roman Reigns, Gunther, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes at the top of the card, but then you got these new young guys coming up, like an Obafemi. I think Joe Hendry is going to be a star one day. You've got Trick Williams, Javon Evans, Penta, sort of the newer generation of guys that are going to carry WWE into the future. Braun Breaker as well, obviously. Seth Rollins on the old guard side. Like, there's names I'm forgetting because there's so much talent right now in the WWE. And it makes sense now, right? Why Cody Rhodes' appearance on the Pat McAfee show was canceled. Why Pat McAfee cut a promo about a month ago that said the wrestling business has passed him by. Because this wasn't a spur of the moment decision. And listen, if you follow me on TikTok at real_B-World, you guys know that I do these Brandon's Word on the road promos a lot, where I cut promos because I am the final freaking boss of TikTok. I'm going to give you a order of a promo right now, what the final boss of TikTok will, and tell you I absolutely love this promo. And I love the fact the IWC is having a meltdown because everybody in the internet wrestling community, and again, I'm part of it because I'm on the internet, right? But most of you all think the same. It's either WWE sucks and AEW is great, or AEW sucks and WWE is great. Neither company can be great or terrible at the same time. A few years ago, it was, Tony Khan sucks, AEW is dying, WWE is so out, we love WWE. And then the second, and this is just a fact, and again, I don't want to make any judgments, I'm mostly non-political, but let's be honest. The second WWE got in bed with the Trump administration, that's when y'all turned on WWE, and that is the God's truth. When Triple H started showing up at the White House, then all of a sudden it's how WWE is so make America great again, and AEW is a great company, and then the Make America Great Again crowd will call Tony Khan woke. Like, The state of how we think about things, in my opinion, is ridiculous. Can we just enjoy the show? Listen, I've been right before, I've been wrong before. I heavily criticize the Danhausen great segment in the Elimination Chamber. Guess what? Is Danhausen the most over act right now that's not currently wrestling in WWE? I mean, the dude, I mean, he had a would have been in ring segment last night on SmackDown when R-Truth tagged him in during the WWE Tag Team title match between R-Truth and Damian Priest against Kit Wilson and The Miz. But the gimmick was he cursed the referee because The Miz threw the referee in front of Danhausen, and the whole crowd is saying, "You are cursed." And it maybe as over as the revolution was in 2023. And this is one of the things that I've been talking about in WWE. Everybody says that, LA Knight should be a world champion. Everybody says that Penta will eventually be a world champion, or that Logan Paul should be a world champion. And I said, yeah, no pun intended. They all deserve to be world champions. But how are they going to get to the top of the card when you have the guys like CM Punk, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Gunther that all need storylines? Like if Braun Breaker didn't get hurt, we got Braun Breaker versus Seth Rollins and Gunther versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania. Yes, Rey Mysterio was still in WWE, and sometimes we do forget that because of the talent that's out there. They had to create a ladder match with all these stars: Rusev, JD McDonough, Javon Evans, for Penta's Intercontinental Championship because there was nowhere to put these guys on the card. Now, Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes is getting personal, and I think it's a way where, if Cody were to defeat Randy, maybe at Backlash you go to Cody Rhodes or Pat McAfee. There's another world out there where, Joey Roll comes back and Joey Roll teams with Cody Rhodes, and if Cody Rhodes and Joey Roll against Randy Orton and Pat McAfee, I'd be all for that. We know Pat McAfee's a big fan of country music, but he can call, Joey Roll a sellout that he sold out for this stooge Cody Rhodes when he teamed with Randy Orton at SummerSlam. I think it'd be great. And yes, WWE has always been involved in pop culture. Professional wrestling as pop culture. Hell, at WrestleMania, Lawrence Taylor wrestled a match one time. I have no problem with the likes of Little Yachty on Trick Williams' side, or I Show Speed being in a feud with the Vision and the Usos and LA Knight, or Joey Roll being involved, or Pat McAfee being involved, because this is WrestleMania. It's WWE Super Bowl, and they want to get as many eyes on it, especially if this is the first year ever. Think about this. On Saturday, WWE is going to present WrestleMania on ESPN2. Sunday, they're going to present the first hour on ESPN. We've been out talking about Brock Lesnar over Femi, which the build is absolutely fantastic. And by the way, if you look at this WrestleMania card, the card on paper is fantastic. I cannot wait for WrestleMania 42 to take place in 2 weeks. But we talked about it there were over Oba squashes Brock in the main event. If that's the case, do you want to on WrestleMania Saturday or Sunday to kick it off on ESPN? The platform Pat McAfee is on every single day to start WrestleMania 42 with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton. That would be a sentence I never thought I'd say. I thought the main event for night one would be locked in stone. I do think this is the night one main event. I think Roman Reigns and CM Punk will main event night two. And I don't care what you say about that feud either. That feud has fed my family with their war words. And listen, the other night I watched TNA Impact because I'm going to TNA because Rebellion is in Cleveland, Ohio in a couple weeks. I've said this before. I don't have time to watch Raw, SmackDown, NXT, TNA, Dynamite, Collision. I don't watch wrestling 7 days a week because I have other interests, believe it or not, outside of sports. I know that's hard to believe for a sports podcast. We're not allowed to, seemingly. We have to watch every wrestling product when we can. And some people watch AEW and can't stand WWE, and it's the same people that are mad over Brock Lesnar. Again, to me, it's all political, it's all connected. You can say whatever you want. To me, it's the truth. I like WWE. I used to like AEW, AEW turned me off when they started doing all the flippy shit that Pat McAfee talked about. And my favorite wrestler, Edge, Adam Copeland, is in there. I YouTube his segments, I'll watch his segments. But AEW is not for me. And guess what, folks? If AEW is for you, that is okay. And if WWE is for me, that's okay too. Let's get to the main event segment where Sami Zayn takes on Carmelo Hayes for the United States Championship. This was coming after Trick Williams interrupted Sami Zayn to start the 9 o'clock hour. Trick Williams used Sami Zayn's pyro to go off because we know Trick's facing Sami at WrestleMania. Carmelo Hayes comes out and says, "Hey, Sami, you didn't like the way that John Cena took advantage of an opportunity to win the championship with Cody Rhodes. You didn't like the way that Cody Rhodes took advantage of an opportunity when he shouldn't have had to beat Drew McIntyre to win the WWE Championship. Why don't you give me a rematch for the United States Championship?" And Sami said, "Fine, we'll do it tonight in St. Louis, but here's the stipulation. Whoever wins faces Trick Williams at WrestleMania, and that's it." And of course, there was a moment in the match where Carmelo Hayes does a dive to the corner, to the outside, I should say, and he injures his leg, and it looks pretty serious. But then towards the end of the match, Carmelo does, or he attempts, I should say, the first. I'm going to start over, and I'm sorry, this is live. Carmelo Hayes delivers the first 48 to Sami Zayn. He goes to the top rope. He attempts to do nothing but net. Sami gets out of the way. He lands on his feet and goes to the rope because he's selling his ankle. And with the referee checking on Carmelo, Sami realizes a perfect opportunity with the referee in front of Carmelo to Haluva kick him in the face. 1, 2, 3. And the whole time, by the way, people are booing Sami Zayn. They're talking about Sammy Hogan. They're chanting, "Whoop that trick." And at the end of that, Sami Zayn retains the United States Championship. Trick Williams and Little Yachty attack Sami Zayn. Trick Williams delivers the trick shot to Sami Zayn to end SmackDown. And SmackDown ends with the booing of Sami Zayn and the cheering of Trick Williams and an action by Sami Zayn to take advantage of an opportunity where Carmelo Hayes was clearly defenseless and Sami Zayn didn't care. He pulled the trigger to retain the United States Championship. Was, in my opinion, the start, or maybe just is, the Sami Zayn heel turn. Because you could tell Sami Zayn heard the noise in the 9 o'clock hour. You could tell that Sami Zayn was bothered by it, and it aggravated him. And I do think this is a new direction that they will go for Sami Zayn's character. I think Sami Zayn is going to lose the United States Championship to Trick Williams. That's where he goes off the deep end. And then who knows? Maybe Sami Zayn, he used to be friends with Cody Rhodes. Maybe he's the one that does damage to Cody Rhodes. Because I still think maybe Randy Orton is the one that kicked the teeth down Jacob Fatu's throat. Originally, I thought it was Sami Zayn. It could be Randy Orton now. Maybe that's where they go post WrestleMania is Randy and Jacob. Drew McIntyre does have to take off. There's rumors he's filming a movie, whatever you may have you. Um, there is a lot of different directions they could go with Sammy. If Roman Reigns, or hell, even CM Punk, Sammy's been friends with both, but Roman Reigns been part of the bloodline. What if, after WrestleMania, Sami Zayn switches brands? He's tired of SmackDown, Nick Aldis. He wants to go to Raw. And he goes to Raw. And what if Sami Zayn is one of the first challengers for Roman Reigns in the World Heavyweight Championship? Because it looks like a bloodline reunion may be coming. What if Sami Zayn stops that? And you could always go into a Sami Zayn Jey Uso feud because of their history. I mean, there's so many things you could do. But this WrestleMania, if you look at it on paper, Obafemi, young guy, Brock Lesnar, veteran guy, Trick Williams, young guy, Sami Zayn, veteran guy. Um, it's going to be, as I said before, sort of that start of the changing of the guard in WWE. And WWE went through this time very similarly, believe it or not, from what would that be after WrestleMania 17, 2001 to around the lights of 2002, 2003, when the Ruthless Aggression era started, which was a Stone Cold Steve Austin is not going to be here much anymore. The Rock is not here anymore on a full time basis. We need to create new stars. Vince McMahon came out of my hometown of Cleveland in June of 2002 and said, I want to see ruthless aggression. And you add the birth of the John Cenas, of the Edges, of the Batistas, of the Randy Ortons, of the Rey Mysterios, etc., etc. And that's what created the new stars that we know and love today. And all of them are future or are WWE Hall of Famers. In my opinion, this would be the perfect time to reinvent that with the roster because the roster has never been more talented, including the women's division and stars like Tiffany Stratton, Damian Priest, Carmelo Hayes, Solo Sikoa, Ilya Dragunov are all going to miss WrestleMania, potentially, because there still could be a match or two in it. Not by the fault of their own. I mean, they had to create a match for Jay, Jimmy, LA Knight against the Vision and I Show Speed, seemingly. And in my opinion, it's not creators' fault, and it's not the fault of these superstars. They're doing everything they can. It's just the talent in WWE has never been greater. And this WrestleMania season, you got to get all the stars out. And I'm not going to judge an angle. Again, people said the John Cena heel turn. And I've had interviews. You've heard my interviews with Austin Arnold. You've heard my talks with Jalen Sandvik, two great wrestling fans that have said that John Cena heel turn was the worst of all time. The moment was great, but after that, it was shit booking. No, it wasn't. You hated it because John Cena acted like a piece of shit. And what I'm saying is, people love crazy Randy Orton. They don't want Pat McAfee diluting in, and they're afraid this is going to be very similar to what happened with The Rock and Travis Scott at last year's WrestleMania. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. That's the best part, and that's why we have to tune in to WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas, April 18th and April 19th to find out. This has been an emergency podcast. What a SmackDown show. There's so many one of those storylines, so many one of those story bits. I'm really enjoying WWE right now. I know I'm crazy, according to the IWC, but what do you know? I'm different. That's why I have a podcast, and that's why most keyboard warriors don't. With that, guys, we'll be back on Tuesday for another edition of Brains where we'll break down the NCAA March Madness tournament. We'll talk about some of the rule changes that could be going on in the NFL, the implications of streaming on sports media, all that and more. I hope you guys have a great Easter if you celebrate that tomorrow. And with that, it's been another Brains World Emergency Podcast. How many emergency podcasts has this been post SmackDown? 3 or 4, which shows you to me the WrestleMania 42 build is working. And with that, the emergency sirens are gone. Wee, wee, wee.